Nice. All right, so week 9 just finished. Great work getting this far. We had 2 games with a pretty big point spread. All Blues 42 over Life West 12 and New York 43 over Chicago 5. And then we've got the game postponed. That final game is postponed until the 10th of August, I want to say. So good. We'll just jump right into it. Tyler, I'm looking at you first. You want to go first?
Yeah, that's fine with me.
Oh, find you. Here we go.
So it was actually closer than the score would dictate. Life West played well. They just kind of struggled a little bit with some errant passes that the All Blues were able to capitalize off of. And so going in from the week prior, goals were kind of just talk a little bit less, work on phrases, and then trying to continue to build on scrums. Scrums felt good. Talking felt good. Tackles ended up being a little less than good. Space was a little tight. 2 yellow cards for repeat infringements for just breakdown stuff in general. And so we're actually going to take a look at some of the tackles and check and see if I was calibrated the same way as everybody else, or if I have to kind of reset what I'm looking for. Um, but overall, it was a great game. Tim's not here, but I'm going to give him a shout out anyway. He was a fantastic host. Did a great job. Really took care of me in the morning. Let me shower. Great job, like taking care of me before I left my flight for the red eye. So shout out to Tim. When you watch us back, you're awesome, man. Thanks.
Very cool. Olivia, did you have anything you wanted to say before we go to clips?
No, it was fun to chat with Tyler. It's fun to see folks think. And I think just as, for those who are here tonight, remember like this is a great space to, as he said, calibrate and benchmark off of each other so that you build your confidence in your decision making as you move forward.
Super. Where do you want to start, Tyler?
So we could probably start with the scrum, the waterfall. And so I'll give a little bit of context, but not a lot. And I just kind of want to see where the group is at with this one. So we're about 5 minutes in. It's the second scrum. First scrum went great, no issues. Second scrum, we can kind of just play through, and I want to know kind of where everybody's at with what occurs here.
Okay, I think like usual, I did not optimize for video when I shared, so let me try this again. Yeah, I didn't. You would think I'd get it right once. Nope. Okay. We'll play it once at regular speed and then we'll go once in slow.
Crouch! Bind!
Let's go, get ready to push.
Set! Hold gold.
Early drive.
Easy. It's gone down.
Okay.
Crouch!
All right. Is that enough for people? And what do you want the waterfall choices to be, Tyler?
So just reset scrum, or I guess if we're thinking penalty, and then which way you would go with it. This is one that Olivia kind of brought up an interesting point on that we can kind of touch on after we have our little waterfall.
Okay, so reset, penalty white, or penalty gold, I guess we'll go with
Yeah.
on the count of 3. 1, 2, 3. Okay. So we got mostly resets. LV, do you want to tell us what you see that makes you feel pretty strongly about the gold collapse?
Yeah, so the only reason why I could say reset is the first scrum, so that's sort of like now we know what we're dealing with, but it looks like, and also goals on attack, so you wouldn't assume they would like lose their footing. But they just go down so quickly, they don't take the hit at all, and it just crumbles because of them. So that's why, like, you're not doing your job as a scrum to stay to take it. So I don't think you should be rewarded, but it's for a scrum, so
Yeah, so reset makes sense too. Okay. Tyler,
So yeah, so I reset here 5 minutes in, and Olivia looked at this and she actually thought the same thing you thought, Ellie, was goal doesn't take the hit. This is clear enough that even though we're 5 minutes in, set the standard now, get things sorted. White ends up dominating pretty consistently through the scrums, and we have 3 scrum penalties against gold. So the mindset is a lot of us are agreeing. I mean, I did the same thing as like 5 minutes in, reset, try and work with the scrum. Um, but if it's this obvious, the penalty feels okay. And obviously, Olivia, jump in if I'm not phrasing that correctly, but that if it's this clear, even though it's 5 minutes in, this is an okay point to PK rather than having a reset and trying to work through it with how White dominates later in the game.
Yeah, I mean that's the gist of our discussion. And Tyler was like, "Well, I reset because it was so early in the game." And I said, "Well, at what minute was your first penalty in the game?" And it was 2 minutes and 43 seconds. And my point was, you're willing to penalize that first clear tackle penalty, but is this a clear penalty against gold at the scrum? And if so, why won't we penalize that? So it's a philosophy item, but something to think about.
good. Yep, I like it.
So the second one is just similar picture. It's almost identical as far as the way it moves. Gold doesn't really take the hit the right way. White does a good job. It rotates, and I PK this one, and we're 20 minutes in now. So at this point in my head, I'm going, okay, great. We've had, I think, 2 resets at this point. PKs are fine. But it's the same picture. So I'm seeing the same thing at 5 that we're seeing at 20. So the PK early is okay.
Let's go again.
Crouch. Bind. Set.
Which PK did you go with?
So I went with, I think I went with boring on this one. But I could have gone with collapsing or wheeling. I think any of the 3 were fine. But a PK at that point, I was like, yep, something's got to go against gold here. Yeah.
And just note, the first one was a feed by gold and this is a feed by white, but it's the same picture.
Right. And then you could do either of the tackles. So one is a tackle assist not releasing. The other one is a ball carrier not releasing. And I just want to see if I'm kind of calibrated the same way as the rest of the group, if this is the picture we're looking for in both scenarios, or if I have to kind of do a reset and kind of look at the tackle situation a little differently.
Anybody have an issue with this? Cool. Everybody's happy with that one? And this one,
I guess I'm curious on that, Amanda. Is that a squeeze ball from the attack?
was it a squeeze ball? For
It
me,
looked
the
like,
tackle assist never releases, so I don't think I paid too much attention to where the
I'm not sure, was that a not rolling away though, Tyler, or was that a tackler assist?
So that was the tackle assist not releasing, but I know what you mean by 13 does this weird like up and lurch back.
does.
Um,
Yeah,
which just
okay.
means that this angle looks weird. Yeah.
Yeah, she does. She had the tackler on her and then the tackle assist on her. So there was always somebody on her.
Yeah, fair enough. Sorry, I
Yeah.
thought that was a not rolling.
Yeah, you're right to point out her movement. Had she had just a second to place it, then we probably would be looking at that.
Yeah.
Tyler, the next one is number 2.
Yeah, and then this is just the other direction. This is the ball carrier holding on. And so I thought there was a good enough release by White to kind of let this go for them. But again, I'm happy to see if I'm calibrated the same way as everybody else.
Angle of the camera is not going to help us.
Mm.
Based on the way she tackles and tosses her at her feet, I think it's a very reasonable decision that you made.
Mhm.
But 6 white is right where we need to be able to see through her to see for sure.
So Amanda,
Yep.
one of the discussions we had on that is the video ref versus the ref on the day.
Mhm.
Trust the ref on the day. They're in the right position to see this. The
Yeah.
video ref, you can say whatever you want, but you're not in the best position. And you made that point with your statement about the angle is not great.
Yep. Let's see where Tyler was. Sure. Better position to see. Is that it?
Yeah, that was it. Just the 2 scrums and the 2 tackles. Yeah.
Beauty. Good ones. Good discussion around the scrum. Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you.
Hannah, anything from you?
No, I think Tyler and I chatted after the game. And I'm just curious, Tyler, if you had any thoughts about what we had chatted about briefly. I mean, we chatted scrums and we chatted 2 penalties here, but we were yellow carded twice in the game, so I'm curious if there's any, I don't
Yeah,
know, any discussion around that.
so kind of looking through the amount of penalties we had at the Rock, and I guess your concern was later in the match when it felt like the tackler was out of the way enough, and White was they didn't look like they wanted to use the ball anyway, like quickly. Olivia noted there was multiple times, especially early in the match, of like just players at the fringes off sides, probably 3 or 4 times in the first 5 minutes, and so it ended up just becoming a trend very quickly. And so the yellow cards were just, but maybe earlier dealing with it might have sorted things a little bit quicker. But I didn't notice any of the instances later where I questioned a couple instances where I was like, I could have kind of let this go through. I think around like the 70th, 75th minute, there was a couple of the penalties, but it definitely hindered White's ability to do something with it if they wanted to, even though they looked like they were going slowly.
Yeah, I think we the review process pretty much has us agreeing with Tyler that the yellow cards were necessary.
Okay, thanks. Yeah, I never questioned the first one. It was more
Okay.
about the second half. So thanks.
So
Thank you.
thanks, Anna.
Next up, Elvie.
Yeah. So just a quick point about the yellow cards. Just I was reading Tyler's stats. I noticed that the winning team got the yellow cards in my game, the losing team got the yellow cards. So just a funny thing, some people will say the aggressive team will infringe potentially, but in my case, it was the losing team that kind of got buckled under pressure and responded with wrong things that got them cards. So
Yeah.
just wanted to say that. Yeah.
There's a big difference between we're being really aggressive in our defense, and so we're getting penalties, and we're getting penalties because we're not playing smart or playing well, right? Or we're under pressure. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, just something I saw it on Tyler's thing, and I was like, interesting that my team was the opposite. But
Yeah.
yeah, it was a great game to be part of. Like I mentioned in our chat, first half, it was it felt really, really tight. And then second half, New York kind of ran away with it. A lot of the issues were either people holding on or tackling not getting away fast enough. And to the point where it got in the way of the attacking team advancing, getting possession of the ball and moving with it. So, and then a lot of those offside, I think, were Chicago because they were under pressure. I had watched film from their last game, and inside the 22, they just again they're trying to be defensive. They're trying to stop tries from scoring, so they do what they can. They move away slowly, and it ends up, hurting them because it's blatant things that are wrong and stop the attack from going. So, um, first half yellow card was just a lot of, in my mind, a lot of repeated issues where tries could have been scored or try could have been scored. Second half, it was the same person repeatedly slowing the ball up and kind of getting in the way. Otherwise, it felt pretty even. If you watch the game, a lot of ball in hand time, which was awesome to be part of. Both teams are pretty well maintained at the breakdowns. They weren't infringing early that much. So yeah, just a lot of good time for the attack to do what they wanted. And then when they got stopped or got slowed down, then I responded to it pretty hopefully pretty timely. Yeah, but it was great. Great game to be part of. I loved it.
Awesome. Love to hear that. Lynn,
Yeah.
anything from you?
No, not really. I think Elvie hit it. It was just Chicago, just used their size to really dominate in the scrums, and they did really well in the loose. They had the ball most of the first half. It's just when New York got the ball, Chicago was either slow to move away, or New York just found that hole, or just kicked ahead and got points out of it. And then, as Elvie said, the second half, the top just kind of came off.
So we can start with the no contest line out. One of the trends of the game that Len and I talked about was just sort of setting a group think of what the lineout should look like in terms of if there is not a contest, how strict are we with the not straight? Obviously, if it's the car lot guy, clearly those should be called, but where is that line for um how loosey goosey do we want to be with the throw when there's not a contest? So there's two lineouts kind of back to back, just to discuss maybe on how that should look, I guess.
And we will know the AR's opinion.
Oh yeah. And the AR lets you know where how if she likes it or not. Yeah, we can do sound off. I will get it better timed with the sound. But
well, that's not on you. They cut the video twice.
Yeah, definitely not on you.
So her flag was this. I'm not happy with it. I don't like it. So she kept the flag up on that one.
She kept up for a while. She ran with it.
Does anyone have an immediate knee-jerk reaction to that it was not straight? Okay, so for me, she catches it right in front of her body, and then she's being turned virtually immediately, right? Which adds to it looking not straight. But this one is within my tolerance zone. So I go back.
Yeah, we had the conversation about like I think the next one we'll see is also New York. There's one that I don't think I put in that was a Chicago one. And I did end up calling one of them. And at halftime, we discussed like I need a dancing to call it. Especially if you're not contesting it. So I don't know if there's like maybe we can chat about it after the second line out just to have like a comparison, maybe. Similar, it's like the next 2 minutes later, something, a minute and a half later.
Okay.
Also, New York's throw.
Sorry. Just trying to get through the fluff.
Sorry, guys.
All right. Knee-jerk reactions to that one being not straight.
Tyler's thinking.
There's definitely, sorry, an argument for this one being a different picture.
Time is on.
That's weird. I'm not arguing degrees here. It definitely was not like through the channel. But my thought, and me and the AR talked about it at halftime, it was like it wasn't here and they didn't contest it. So between the two of it, like not being super outside and not contesting,
Is
that's
this not
why
contested though?
I guess she, yeah.
I mean, she does go up, right? So maybe we need to think about a little bit about what is our definition of not contested. It's not contested well,
Yeah.
but it may also not be contested well because the throw is skew. And then it is caught over the outside shoulder. So all of that to me adds up to not straight. Other thoughts? I'm completely open to discussion here. Where are you landing, Lindsay?
Yeah, I mean, I feel kind of similarly to you. I think this one does have a contest. And
So you say
you,
contest.
yeah, I would call that a contest. I mean, like you said, it's not a great contest, but it's a contest. And I think like you can throw Chicago a bone here and call it not straight until New York. Like, yeah, you're getting better positioning, but you got to help me out here and throw it in the middle.
Can I add a little bit to the conversation? Especially given the level of these players, they should be able to do a straight line out throw. And I think to respect the players is to say if the ball is on the outside shoulder, then it's not straight, whether there's a contest or not.
Okay.
But you can have a clear line, like a cutoff of if it's just over the head, that's fine. But as soon as it's outside shoulder, you don't have to make it gray. It can just be black and white.
Yeah.
Good. I like it.
Yeah.
Are we happy?
That's fair. Fair.
They're
Again, like
actually-
yeah, go ahead, Amanda. Sorry.
Oh, I was just gonna say they're actually trialing play on when there's no contest in the maybe it's the U20s. I'm not
So Len
positive.
and I talked about that because I was like, I feel like I read that or saw that somewhere. I wasn't sure if that was this last round or if that was like upcoming.
Yeah, I think it's happening right now in certain competitions. I think they mentioned it in around July. So I think maybe at this last U20 was one of the places, but I haven't watched any of those matches, so I can't swear.
So any jump, even if it's the wrong pod, is a contest. So that's check contest. And without a contest, at least for now, we still want anything credibly is still okay. Cool.
And
Yeah.
LB, that is part of what we talked about, that, this is the highest level, right, that we have here. Like I think there should be some standard that we're agreeing, look, that we just can't allow that one to be straight.
Yeah, over the shoulder, if it's over the outside shoulder, because they will catch it straight over their head, and they turn the player so fast that it does look not straight sometimes when really it's caught straight on.
And New York, I've had New York 2 weeks in a row, and they're still doing this momentum thing where the jumper comes in and goes up. So it's, that might be part of it. The throwers just picking a spot to throw at.
Yeah, it could be. Do you feel like it was making the competition unfair? I didn't pick up on it when I watched.
No, I think the fact that 5 is so good at jumping makes the competition unfair. That's 2 straight weeks, just absolute dominance.
Interesting. Cool. Good for them.
Yellow card just to end off the first half.
Oh my, things opening slow.
So we can just walk through it, watch the film, and then thoughts. A lot of attacks of the line here for New York.
Okay.
So I wore the penalty try, obviously. And then Len's comments, 1,000,000% of the time, that's a yellow card every time. But he thought I was a little heavy with the penalty try.
Who has thoughts? There's not
Hey, Alvi,
many.
it's Tyler. Um, I'm kind of leaning with Len here. I think the yellow card is spot on. I don't know if I would have gone with the penalty try. Like Green was playing pretty decent defense. I mean, they're 5 meters out, so it's tough. Um, and like I definitely agree with the yellow. I'm like 50-50 with the penalty try, I think.
What is the wording around penalty try?
Probable try.
Yeah, it's Lindsay. I was gonna say, do you think it prevents a probable try if there's not even a ball carrier?
So that's what Len said. About the ball carrier specifically. So in this sequence, I had at this point in the game, they deserve the yellow card because they were just like constantly getting in the way, constantly infringing. And I needed a number. And again, no one really argues the yellow card, but it was like, I mean, they were knocking the door a lot. But again, like good defense clearly was going on there. They were a meter from the end goal. Like they were a meter away and they were stopped. The ball was like moved away, a meter away. And so for me, like, you got to clean it up that close to the end goal. Like, you can't roll north and south a meter from the goal line. They had great defense. I'm not knocking Chicago at all. You just can't do that act a meter away. And again, like, for me, it was almost like you're a meter out, you got a yellow card, which means you did badly, really badly, a meter away. So yellow card just seemed like kind of went in tandem, I think.
Yellow
In that
card?
regard.
Nobody, we're not arguing about you with the yellow card. We all agree 100% yellow
Yeah.
card. But we're arguing
Agreed.
penalty try. It has to be
Yeah.
probable.
Yeah.
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 This is
And
Jenny. Something that helps me with that scenario is if we remove the offending player and thinking about it that way, and then is there, probable defense around there? And it does seem like there are folks at the post that who could have made a tackle. So that's one framework that's helpful for me.
Yeah. Len said the exact same thing. Like, you got me. You're right. Absolutely right. It felt like, justified at the time, but yes, there were other defenders around. I think it was just, yeah. Go ahead, Amanda.
No, it just might be interesting to think about like your headspace and were you frustrated at at the time, like with some of the penalties that were happening or something too, then that like, you get a little emotionally involved or whatever, and then does that make the decision for you? Sort of thing.
So the yellow card was probably the bigger decision, because again, like, up to this point, there were like so many times where Chicago had like gotten in the way and not gotten away. And at this sequence, I was like, I need a number. I need to give somebody a number, because right now it's like the back line is not getting away. I need someone to like to harp on right now. And I talked to Lan about it. Like, there was 21 who eventually got a yellow card later on because she was always just not getting away fast enough and always like closing, like slowing things down. And so I think it was like, finally, I got my person. I got my yellow card because she clearly got in the way. Let's just bring it on home. And that honestly may have been where I was at, like, a meter out, you got a yellow card naturally, but that it may
I
have
love
been a
the yellow
stretch.
card. Love the yellow card. It's great
Yeah,
yellow.
and a little more on the flow of the game, just to speak to LV's like, excitement almost to get a yellow card out. That if that exact breakdown would have happened at the 50, it was going to be a yellow card. I mean, the momentum for the yellow cards was there, and when we spoke about it, LV wasn't even late to the party. It's not like I was sitting there going like, oh my God, when is the yellow card going to come? If that, wherever that instance would have been on the field, that would have been the yellow card. It just happened to be down there. So that would have been a yellow card, for all of you guys looking at it first time. You're like, that's a yellow card. Well, it was going to be a yellow card anywhere. So we were ready for green not rolling away. We'd seen enough of it. So I think that's kind of where the excitement showed up.
Oh,
Yeah, and then this last one, thank you, Len. This last one, like, so yeah, green takes it in, blue tries to stop her, the ball leaves a hand. Where does it go? Who knows? Yeah, we can just watch it. We can watch it play out.
when you wish you had better film.
So I saw it as intentional, but who knows? I don't know.
Maybe backwards. Fun. That's what makes your job fun.
Yeah, and so like it could have been backwards. It looked to propel itself backward. My because Len said the same thing. My thought was, even if you're the nicest Mother Teresa, if you're going for a tackle, are you aiming to go backward, or are you just trying to disrupt. So I think intentionality was what I went with on this one. Just for funsies.
Yeah. We don't get them all right. I think that's just the way it is.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, that was it. It was again a lot of playtime. It was great to be part of. Like it was really fun to be part of.
beauty. Love it. All right, let's wrap this up. So just notes from me. Let's make sure we are doubling down on our tackle order. So first get the tackler. Ruck. I think had an opportunity in both games to set the standard early with offside, and then, maybe we would see less of those penalties. Be careful playing advantage when, just a penalty is probably best. And then really good escalation by both of you this week. It's good. Good carding. So some shout outs. Big acknowledgement to everybody for switching back and forth from 7s to 15s. I know how hard it is. And definitely, appreciate that you're probably all having to do it right now. So the WPL thanks you for being willing to do 15s in this heat. Thanks from Tyler to Tim, which you already mentioned, but we'll say it again. Mike and Millie, good luck this weekend at the MLR quarterfinals. I'll definitely be watching as many of those as I can get in. And then Kat is off to the Olympics now, so good for her. And then round 10 coming up. So we've got Alexis doing the Zons and the All Blues. Lindsay will do Beantown Life West. I wish we had the standings because that's probably going to be a pretty big game. And Tyler is doing New York, Colorado, which also is probably a big game. So cool. It's gonna be a good week. And that's it. I will stop sharing and let me see where the recording is, and I will stop recording. All right.